Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, it's Star Trek Day. Now, Star Trek Day used to be when Star Trek fans celebrated the anniversary of the original Star Trek. But because Paramount, CBS were kind of upset that the original Star Trek always got more attention than their new shows, they found a way to usurp it. Basically, they created a Star Trek Day event where they would basically focus on the new shows and do nothing but undermine and insult the original Star Trek. And that's not hyperbole and exaggeration. I am really shocked by this latest special. Now, I wouldn't have thought I could have been offended by a special hosted by Jerry O'Connell because it's adorable. But yeah, this episode, they managed to spend, out of the 22 minutes, they spent 6 minutes on the original canon era Star Trek shows, all the shows produced from 64, counting the Cage, up until 2005. The original series, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. And they trashed them all. Basically, the only attention they give them is there's a 6-minute segment where Tawny Newsome and Eugene Corandaro, I think his name is, they basically sit on a couch in a set, not of a Starfleet sort of cabin or just a set that they build of a room. They sit on a couch and just watch the weirdest or silliest moments of Star Trek and just laugh at it. That's all they do. That's how they honour the original Star Trek and Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, all the older Star Trek shows. In this special, they just show the weirdest parts from those episodes and then laugh at them and trash them. And I'm like, really? And then it's sort of broken up into 4 sections. I mean, there's the introduction from Jerry O'Connell. There's the 6 minutes where they sit on a couch and trash the original Star Trek. Then there's a 5-minute promo on Discovery, which doesn't really show anything new. I think there's a few new shots, but it just looks like Indiana Jones on some Mad Max planet, and it doesn't look like Star Trek because that's their model of Star Trek now, is just copy everything, and hopefully, eventually you'll get people that like it. If you copy everything, you're sort of covering all the bases. Eventually you'll sort of cover all the general audience. So it doesn't really look that interesting, doesn't really look that Star Trek. And that's saying, that after season 4 ended fairly well and actually resembled Star Trek for a few episodes. I actually liked the later part of season 4 of Discovery. It wasn't great, but they actually were they seemed to be at least copying Star Trek the Motion Picture, which is a Star Trek movie. So yeah, it wasn't as bad as all the other seasons. But so they spend about 5 minutes doing that, and then they spend a really hilarious scene where they have a drag queen called Jackie Cox. Couldn't even make up a Star Trek drag name. We'll find a Star Trek drag queen, Star Trek themed drag queen, to go around and ask random people who don't know anything about Star Trek questions to show they do know things about Star Trek. It just makes Star Trek look unpopular and embarrassing and makes people kind of look stupid. There's a few funny moments, but that's about it. The Jackie Cox is a good presenter and everything, but it just didn't work. And then the last section was basically... there was another section about the animated series because it's the 50th anniversary of the animated series, which premiered on the same date in 1973 as Star Trek premiered in 1966. And they basically promoted the really short treks, which I think are all being done in the original animated series style. They're all animated, they're all short, but they're not canon, which means they're basically just being ridiculous and making fun of Star Trek, which is... The problem with this whole new Trek era is they look at old Star Trek, because the people who made these new shows don't know Star Trek, didn't watch it, don't like Star Trek. They think Star Trek is a joke, something to enjoy laughing at. And that's how they see the original Star Trek. Even when they did like a previously on for the Cage on Strange New Worlds, they had to put it in silly bubbles and move it around because that's what they think Star Trek is, a joke, and they have to make it camp and silly for people to enjoy it because how else are they going to laugh at it? That's the way they look at this show. What shocked me was they also are looking at and treating Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise with the same brush, because anything before 2016, anything that isn't new Trek, is a joke and trash to them, and they just want to focus on the new shows. And this idea of making your show look better by making the other shows look worse is the tactic that they're taking with Star Trek Day. And I'm a little shocked because that's their product as well. that is selling as well. They're making money out of that, but they are just preferencing the new shows because the licensing deals are better and so forth, even though they're less popular. Surely just focus on all the Star Trek at worst, and you're going to get, you're going to make the most money. Just focusing on the new shows and trashing the old shows, it makes no sense to me. So this special was just kind of shocking. I won't call it subtle. It's not really, savage or anything, but you can just see what they're doing, and it's just really insulting. So I'm going to go and celebrate the 50th anniversary of Star Trek and try and put Star Trek Day behind me, because I just can't. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this 22-minute slap in the face to Star Trek fans. CBS, promo for New Trek. Let me know what you think.